Hey, well,
Roxy?
coming up on South Florida Today, think outside the frame. We'll flip through the stylized work of a photographer's wedding shots and plus the wedding centerpieces to complement your vision. It's a whole lot coming your way.
Da, 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 da.
And register right now.
A wedding photographer takes more than just good pictures. In the course of a wedding day, they capture the architecture, they snap away candid moments, and tell a story. Freddy Rozen, the photographer behind Images by Freddy Rozen, is here to explain the visual storybook of a wedding. Hi, Freddy.
Hello.
Well, let's start first of all, before we look at your photos, with how should a person or a bride and groom, potential bride and groom looking for a photographer make that choice? That's a pretty important choice to make.
Well, what I say that they would look for, Bob, is first of all, is the photographer somebody that they would want at their wedding as a guest? Is it something that they enjoy spending time with?
So do you advise spending time with maybe
Absolutely.
2 or 3 potential photographers to see which one kind of clicks?
Absolutely.
No pun intended.
No, absolutely. I think they should spend time. The initial meeting where they're just going to see pictures, it should be way beyond seeing their materials. It should be analyzing their personality and seeing, hey, is this somebody I want to spend the next few months with? Because it's not just the night of the wedding. It's weeks before and weeks after while we design the album and do the engagement session prior to and so forth.
All right, let's take a look at some of your images, and you tell us what you're trying to capture and kind of your philosophy of taking pictures at weddings.
Okay. Well, there's been a little bit of a change in style lately. It used to be traditional, where almost every picture in an album, the album was only 20 or 30 pages, and it was posed pictures and a couple of pictures of the ambiance. And then it went to photojournalistic, where we're just capturing what's happening. Now we're coming back to what I call it a blended style. So, for example, if we look at this album over here,
now, what are we looking at right now?
that's actually a room setup for a bar mitzvah at the Four Seasons Hotel on Brickell. So that's half of the room. And of course, what I do is I always arrive early and try to capture what it looked like. The families really love to see what the room looked like before it was full of people, before it got messed up by kids playing and things like that.
Let's take a break and roll a tape that has some images on a CD that you thought were particularly nice. Let's look at these. Tell me what we're seeing here. Are these?
This is one album spread of a bride getting ready. So, and I put the Polaroids as a little background there to make it look like that could have been snapped by somebody just as a guest there. This was just a fun page of the makeup happening.
So these are obviously very non-traditional.
Very non-traditional. This obviously is a church, and this is the wedding happening at the church, and I try to get a lot into the design and try to make the things fit together so that I'm telling a story.
You know, certainly, decades ago, everything was posed.
Yes.
Do you try to get completely away from that, or do you do both? Do you do the moment and also a certain number of posed pictures that just are kind of have-to-be's in anybody's album?
I do both, and that's why I was saying I call it a blended style, because while there are things happening that I can't interrupt or shouldn't interrupt, like a ceremony, like a first dance, like a toast, what I'll do is I will just capture what's happening. But we do some of the formal shots because the mothers still want them, the grandmothers still want them, so we do some of the formal posed sessions. I'm
being forced to show a wedding picture that was taken 32 years ago. That's my wife and I back in 1976. We were married at the DuPont Plaza. This was taken actually a year later. I'm going to tell you the story real quick, because Pam and I had the same experience. I don't have a wedding album, and neither does Pam. The photographers we chose, 20 years apart, both got drunk at the wedding, and the pictures were all bad. So, all right, picture gone. That's the only picture we have taken a year after the wedding. What's this image in back of you?
This is a wedding. This is actually the sister of our very own local race car driver and former Dancing with the Stars winner, Elio Castroneves. So this is his sister, and I had the pleasure of doing their wedding. This is a small church on South Beach, and this is just as they finished getting married, and I'm capturing their happiness as they step out of the church.
It must be important to you from a business standpoint to get weddings like this, where the people that you're shooting are known, and then when you show people later on interested that, a person like this, people like this trusted you, there's probably a quicker bond of trust that develops.
Absolutely. They like seeing that. And I heard that Joe's engaged, so I'm going to have to talk to him after the show.
Okay, all right. Now let's take a look at this one. This is a gorgeous photograph. Tell us how this came about.
This was a wedding at a Greek Orthodox church, and I'm always looking to take a picture that, even though it's something that I'm not going to interrupt, it's not posed, it's not planned, I'm trying to capture it in an artistic, beautiful way. And I saw that this was actually Christmas time, and all these light spots behind them is actually a monster Christmas tree that they had inside the church.
Now, you work all digital,
yes,
I presume.
yes.
And do you have a backup? Are there 2 cameras?
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yes.
Okay, so you work with others or just yourself?
Depends on the size of the event, depends on what the client contracted for. I do have others that I work with and bring with me.
And we talked about this before the show. In terms of reality, how close do you stick to reality with everything you can do now with Photoshop type programs? You can do anything. How much do you do?
I do as much as I can do while letting the person still look like they could look like. I won't go and make somebody that's 60 look 20, but I will make them look the best 60 they could possibly look.
If you're trying to get a family shot with, say, 6 or 8 people in it, and every shot has one person that doesn't look right, will you move a person from one shot to another?
Definitely. Because those are real pictures. It just happens that in one picture a kid had the eye open, and in the other one the grandmother had the eye open, or closed in that case.
Right.
So I will move a body or a face every once in a while.
Freddie, thanks much for joining us.
Thank you, Bob.
This was
Appreciate
fun.
it.
You can visit Images by Freddy Rozen at 6188 Northwest 74th Avenue in Miami. And for more information, the number is 305-490-6304. Want more of Wedding Week? Log on to NBC6.net/Wedding Week to access the special page we've set up. See wedding pictures from some of your favorite NBC6 personalities and share yours as well.